Overall, the entire sales funnel is a $100 billion market and is quite substantial. But interestingly enough, it's driven by human intuition.
We have developed something called the intent engine, which is pretty much competition within miners, where miners fight to source good leads. It's been a great, very busy 2 weeks since we last spoke.
That's what makes our tech superior, at least in my eyes.
You guys have been mapping out and developing the tech for this for some time, haven't you?
We've refined the incentive over the past 8 months, because that's really our focus right now. Quality over everything else.
Without further ado, please welcome to the stage, Gavin from Leadpoet.
Woo! Leadpoet! Let's go, Leadpoet! Great to be here. Great to be in this very functional setup we got going on. Thank you for the stage. Thank you for giving me the remote. Let's kick it off. So I'll be going into a little bit about Leadpoet, and then I'll be getting grilled by Mark and Siam.
You made that look sexual.
So what is Leadpoet? What we're focusing on is outbound sales primarily, but our goal is automating all of sales, the specific painful parts of the sales process. I'm sure a lot of you guys engage in sales, whether indirectly through your company needing to sell the products you create, or are on direct sales teams. So a lot of you guys will be familiar with the pain points that I'm gonna get into. First, I'm just gonna talk about the overall market that we're addressing here. So we're focused on lead generation. Our target market in leads is actually sales agencies. They represent the aggregate demand of all their different clients. So we can tap into one sales agency, and that'll get us hundreds of clients demand through that. So looking at the market, it's a very large market. Just in this first initial that we're targeting, around $5 billion. The overall sales market is upwards of $100 billion. And that's ultimately where our vision is to grow into, automating the full sales funnel. So looking at some of the problems with sales currently is people are reaching out to people, and sometimes their emails are invalid. There's huge issues with data quality. This causes you to hurt your email score and ultimately damage your ability to actually get sales. So you're spending money on data that is inaccurate and doesn't actually lead to conversions. So you're wasting time, you're wasting your money. Leadpoet solves all of these issues harnessing BitTensor. So how do we harness BitTensor? Here's a beautiful slide showing that the overarching structure of Leadpoet. We have miners find high-quality data, validators validate that data, and we ultimately serve that data to clients and boosting the client's outreach, and then we, as the subnet, profit from selling those leads, and ultimately we drive value back into the alpha, which I'll get into in a later slide. This is the later slide. So revenue goes into alpha. Alpha fattens the reward pool, which increases competition, increases the quality of data we have, and ultimately leads our clients to have better data, which leads to more sales for them, which makes them use us more. And there's this, what they call a flywheel, where our reward pool continues to grow, our clients continue to profit, and we continue to profit as well. So in terms, how do we profit? What is the revenue? When revenue? We do a subscription model for smaller users, $20 to $500 a month. For larger users that want to use an API to either resell it through their own website or another manner, we offer volume-based pricing. And then finally, for enterprise contracts, those can range from $20,000 to $100,000 to $1 million potentially. And then, what's our vision? Our vision isn't just selling leads. This is just the first step. We want to sell meetings. Sales teams, they thrive in meetings. They like the human connection. They don't want to be busy spending time qualifying lead data and then sending out an email that's targeted to that person. They want all that automated up until the meeting, and that's what we're building at Leadpoet. So currently, in terms of the roadmap, we're on phase 1, focused on the data ingestion. Phase 2, which begins in December. Mark loves me when I say that a real month and not just month 2. That will be focusing on an open source competition around an AI agent that actually qualifies leads. So you come in with your target market. Let's say you're trying to sell a CRM to small to medium size AI startups, let's say. You have that set niche. That target market then feeds into these agents. They look at intent signals such as, did a CEO of this company recently post on their X asking for CRM recommendations? That's what we quantify as a high intent signal. That's the qualification. So we're determining the highest intent prospects, leads. Then the final thing that we're going to be building in this initial sprint through the first quarter is outreach. So not only are we getting the data, curating the data based on your target market, but then we're going to actually send a targeted, very human-sounding, it's going to be from AI, but human-sounding email that is, like just with that example, it's going to be, hey, we saw that you had a post asking about CRMs. We'd love to walk you through offerings on the market, demo our CRM, because that's really tapping into someone when they're actually ready to convert. And that's all.
Well, the good news is that I've already thought of 73 ways that we could do this without me standing in the way of the projection and feeling like it's literally on my face. But in the absence of any of those 73 other ways, we're going to do it this way. So, Leadpoet, generating leads, that's the win, but you're not going to do it. You're going to start off with agencies, because agencies have already got the clients. That seems like a very smart thing to do. And then there's the flywheel involved there, so the better it works, the better it works. That seems like a very smart thing to do. And then your next step, your phase 2, is going to be not just generating the leads, but actually doing what they're not going to do with them.
Yeah, leading to conversions, getting those leads into an actual booked meeting with your target customer, with your ideal customer. We don't want to pitch snow shovels to people in Arizona. We want to tap you in to your ideal target market, someone that's actually ready to convert.
Are you making it too cheap? I saw on one of that on the API slide, it was 20 to 30 cents per lead. So, let's say you're finding leads for DSV. A converting client is worth a lot for us.
Totally.
So I'd feel like we're stealing from you, paying 30 cents for someone that then invests 250 grand.
Yeah.
You leave me in charge of the negotiation.
Yeah, we're charging DSV $100 a lead specifically. No. These are early access pricing tiers because we want to really incentivize volume through our platform so we can help refine our validation mechanism and ultimately refine our product as a whole. Over time, we've really discussed a lot in terms of pricing different leads at different prices because an investor lead is worth way more than a lower tier lead that may spend $100 lifetime value. Like an investor can lead to tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of value to you as a client. So there can be dynamic pricing, and overall we intend to increase our pricing as we have established reputation of our high quality. This is more of an initial lower pricing tier just to capture that early adopter usage to get that volume.
Have you spoken to agencies? Do we know how they feel about this?
Yeah. So we've spoken to about 20 sales agencies so far. Everyone is interested in using this product. They all have very similar pain points. Data quality, huge issue in the industry, and also the amount of time required to actually qualify the leads. Even if they have a lead that looks good, they have to spend hours, 3 to 4 hours, to go through a list of 100 leads to actually ensure that they're in their target market and may actually potentially convert. Because if you reach out to leads that aren't, and they may flag you as spam, or you're sending emails to leads that have low data quality, you're hurting your email score, which ultimately will make it so your email is just classified as spam to everyone you email. So that's why we're focused at the top of the funnel first, because data quality is required for the funnel to work as a whole.
So we're starting off with agencies, but we're going to allow anyone to come in at some point?
Yeah, so even when we start off, anyone will use it. Anyone will be able to use it. Just the go-to-market is with sales agencies because we could spend, let's say we have 100 sales calls in a day through our team. That could be either 100 clients if we're speaking directly to the end user, or if we get 100 sales agencies, that's the aggregate demand of 10,000, 100,000 clients. So we're just getting more bang for our buck if we focus on our go-to-market in these users that represent more demand of leads.
Do you think the sales agencies will be upfront about the fact they're using Leadpoet, or do you think they'll squirrel it away?
I mean, currently, most of them aren't going to tell their end user what they're using, if it's Apollo or any of these current providers anyway, because then their end user may decide to circumvent the sales agency if they think that it is easy. So, it's really up to them. They may say we have an AI-powered solution. They may say whatever they want, but ultimately, these teams are also very scrappy, willing to adopt new technical solutions. Compared to some, more enterprise users that may be a bit more slow to adopt after seeing, some more credibility over time and more, you just have to exist for a longer time to work with some of these big enterprises.
What about a white labeled solution for those agencies that want to keep it their secret?
So us providing a white label to enterprises or a white label to sales agencies?
To agencies.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an option, and we'd be glad to charge more to people for a white label solution. You can get more scale through just having our platform, which will be our site, and directly accessing it through our site. But yeah, that's definitely an option that we'd consider.
What are the big challenges going to be getting those first agencies signed up?
I mean, they're all, following up with us, asking us when they can use it. So it's just having that quality there, getting the product ready and getting it in their hands. We just launched our code this week, or last week. We're starting to get some leads coming in. The quality's looking quite good, but we want to ensure that every lead's that coming in is high quality. Because if you reach out to someone and you give them data that isn't high quality, you're burning that bridge. And we're focused on the long term with these clients. So that's why we have a beta with our design partners in December, and then towards January is when we're actually going to open it up for more broad usage.
So while you're busy growing a mustache here, Pranav is actually doing some work.
Yes, exactly. So, yep.
And what the work that he's doing is making sure that the miners can't game the system and just throw anything in.
Yep, and if anything, our system has been too strict. So if anything, we're loosening some of the bolts to allow some leads that should get in. But there's actually been no alpha that's been provided to miners that have given us a bad lead. So far, every lead that's entered the system has been genuine and in line with what we intend through our validation mechanism, which we're on our 5th iteration of this point, because as you mentioned in the montage that we at the beginning, we have been working on this a while, since about March. So we have thought of a lot of potential vectors. Miners may come up with a different vector that we hadn't thought about, but they haven't yet. So
Going back to a previous point, I don't think it matters if people know that the lead that is provided is from Leadpoet or not, because I know of loads of Google PPC companies that have won awards, and they didn't actually do any of the work because they have a massive white label factory behind them, doing the PPC for them. So if you can become that massive whale behind all of these marketing companies, they're just going to arbitrage the shit out of you, which is great because you'll get revenue.
More demand, more volume. The more volume we sell, we're directly tying demand through our volume to demand of the alpha, which I showed through that flywheel. But the way we're doing that is it's almost like API access. You have to actually burn the alpha to access this end commodity. And ultimately, Leadpoet.com is just going to be one of the users of this back-end commodity. We're going to ultimately open it up where anyone can spin up their own platform, tap directly into Leadpoet, and sell the leads produced from the subnet, sell the outreach produced from the subnet, even sell the qualification to some people that may have leads that they just want to qualify on their own terms. They don't want to necessarily provide us those leads in our database, but they would just want to use the qualification agent.
And it's entirely scalable.
Entirely.
Huge.
So you've been live a few days. What sector are you getting leads for at the moment?
Yeah, there's definitely a broad array of sectors. We primarily told miners that AI startups are going to be the initial kind of target market in the beta, as well as LPs, people that would ultimately want to invest in hedge funds. because those are the people in our early design partner group. We want to give them initial leads. Obviously, also our partners, Zeus, our other partners, Score, we want to get them good leads. So the miners know about these target markets, and they're starting to provide us leads. Right now we have a very small amount of throughput of leads. It's about 1,000 a day, so we can monitor each to ensure high quality. But once we're confident with the quality, we're upping that to 10,000 a day, 100,000 a day, 1 million a day eventually. And that just allows us to get a wide breadth of leads, but also when we move to qualification, a lot of the rewards are going to be skewed, the significant majority are going to be skewed to leads that we actually productize. So miners are, in the end, incentivized to provide leads in this target market. Otherwise, they're providing leads that we don't productize, and they're not going to get the juicy rewards.
Is there any way that you can reward miners more if you can identify a lead that has converted?
Yeah, so that's something that we're going to look to do more down the line. There are, in the initial phases, there's worries of, okay, a miner can go use our site and then produce leads and then say they're the best leads, say they all converted. So once we get a certain level of volume, we'll definitely incorporate conversions, and we can use that through CRM integrations, seeing when leads convert through Salesforce, or we'll have a little bare bones CRM that we offer complimentary, so we can also get that data. Because ultimately, we want to tie miner rewards to direct economic value, so there is no leakage in the incentive.
So you've made a few subnet partnerships where you're going to try and help and flood them with leads. Are there any subnets that you're using to help run Leadpoet, like Data Universe? That to me sounds like a good fit.
Yeah, not currently. For the lead qualification, we're definitely going to be recommending people to use Data Universe, and on our validation of that, we can use Data Universe to actually check the social media, see if what the miners are saying is actually there, because the miner may say someone is looking for a CRM, they made a post about it, but then we go there and don't see a post. Obviously miners are going to want to have their leads be the highest qualified, and we need to validate that it is actually legitimate. So, definitely Data Universe is one we want to use. For storage, Hippias, for compute, there's a bunch of different great compute subnets we're looking at using. For now, we are just using solutions that have just are well established, because we're so early. We want to ensure that we can focus on just our system and not need to worry about other systems potentially having issues due to the nascent stage of the network. But we are looking at using all of those after we've kind of refined our system.
And the more leads you generate, the bigger your own database becomes. What's the value of that?
Say it again?
As you generate more leads for other people, you start to build a database of leads that you sit on, people that you know with information and intelligence about them. What's the value in that?
Exactly. So that's something we've been thinking of more recently. So right now, people come to our site, they have a supply, and they're trying to tap into demand. But there's also people that demand something, that want quick access to that supply. So not only are direct clients coming in that have a need that we can pair with other people, but we could have it. There are sites that, let's say you're looking for a CRM, you can compare all the offerings, but we could have it so it's a matchmaking service where you describe what CRM you want. All the CRMs are available on our service, and we kind of cross those two things. But that's more of a future enhancement. Like right now, we're just focused on sales. We have a very direct roadmap that addresses a huge pain point in the sales industry. But since the overall tech stack we're making is matchmaking, there's a lot of different applications to it. Private equity, co-marketing opportunities. The opportunities are really endless.
And on that roadmap, you've got the next stage, which is not just creating the lead, but actually doing something with it. At what point does that kick in, and how much more valuable does that make your service?
Yeah, that's the real golden egg, is selling meetings, not just leads. Every salesperson, when we say that, their eyes light up a little. It's a really exciting proposition to be able to offer. It increases our addressable market by magnitudes. No real competitor is offering this. They may be offering different fragmented parts of the automation, but to streamline all that automation under one roof is a great value proposition, and that's why that is our focus in our roadmap.
Do you think we should open up the questions to the audience?
No.
I think we should.
Let's do it.
Who here has questions? Yes, Josh, receive.
Good. So, hey guys. So my business is a AI data center infrastructure company. So we'd love to potentially work with you to try and get some leads for investors and people that buy our equipment all over the world, as well as people that rent compute. So really great contact. So we do currently use Apollo for data lists. So what would be a really simple difference between your data versus what we could get from Apollo as a direct market competitor?
Totally. So there's two real competitive edges that we have. The first is our laser focus on data quality. We not only validate that the email is legit, the company is legit, that this person actually still works there when the lead comes in, but before we actually productize it, we revalidate it. Apollo, they may validate it on the front, but they never validate it when you sell it. Even recently, a couple months ago, I was testing it out again, and about a third of the emails that I was using through them were, the emails bounced. They were no longer valid emails. You could do a simple, 2-cent check, and it showed that the email was invalid. So the first thing is data quality. The second thing is data breadth. Since we have so many miners, we don't care who you are, we don't care where you are, how old you are, or anything. You could be a 6-year-old in Thailand. If you have the best leads, we will give you alpha for giving us those leads. So
They are not called miners.
a
Because
16-year-old. I meant a 16-year-old. 16.
It's not a good look.
Okay, well, anyone, it's distributed, distributed architecture. Anyone can give us leads. It's a meritocratic system. If you provide us quality, you get rewarded. Another question?
We'll edit all of that out, don't worry.
Harry, is there any other? Yeah, just lob it.
Don't lob it.
No lawsuits.
Yeah. So you mentioned they'll be mainly start working with agencies first, that has a lot of leads. When little guys like us, like small business owners, can get on boards and start buying leads from you for our industry?
Totally. So when we open early access, you'll be able to access it immediately. Sales agencies are just our target market for us to do outreach for us to spend our, most of our sales meetings on, just because we get more bang for our buck. But as soon as we open early access, you'll be able to access through the site, use your credit card. This is fully obfuscated from the crypto backend. We're just providing you leads, and you pay in fiat.
That's like January somewhere, right?
Say it again?
It'll be like in January next year, you said?
January. Oh, January, yes.
Okay.
Thanks for the translation.
Sorry, he's foreign.
Yes. So January is the target for the early access right now. Beta's in December.
So it's been a while since we've had you on a revenue search. Can you just...
We've never had me on a revenue search.
Okay, your own AMA then.
Yeah, my own AMA.
There we go. Can you remind everyone of your alphanomics? Mainly, you get revenue in. What are you then going to do with it?
Yep. So instead of promising any percent of revenue, which is, unaudible, it's more of just a promise, we're actually gating the commodity to alpha. So in order to access a lead, in order to access outreach, you have to burn alpha, us included. There's no special privileges for us. Everyone that wants to tap into this backend is burning alpha, which is through acquiring tau, acquiring alpha, driving value in there, and there's no trust in this system. It's burned. There is no other way to store it. We're strong believers in that. There's high margins in this system, and that ensures that you don't need to trust us as a subnet. It's getting burned. There's no ambiguity.
Sorry, could you just paint that out a little clearer? So
Yep.
a random company says, hey, I want some leads. They buy $1,000 worth of leads from you. They're not going to be like burning alpha.
No.
So they're going to pay you in fiat?
They pay us in fiat, and then in order for us to actually get them the leads, we have to burn alpha at the subnet level to actually get the leads from the subnet, and then we give those leads to the client.
That is a pretty cool way of doing it. You do make a good point, though, about revenue search. I do feel like we've done you a disservice now. We have both been on AMAs with you, but we've never actually had you on revenue search.
No, it's good to be the first one alive with the chairs.
With the chairs, yeah, with the chairs. Where are these questions? Where's the microphone? Harry, come on, chop.
Yeah. When is this all text-based, or when you book a meeting with a client, is there a human involved? Is it all text forward and back?
Yeah. So the automation plan, all of this is around email outreach right now, but eventually, there could be some leveraging of calling or some incentivizing of actual salespeople down the line, but that's more of a speculative idea. Currently, yes, it's just through automated agents that are going to be, first of all, we get the data through any source. There's an agent that qualifies the lead, an agent that actually does the outreach to either sell the product in a promotional email or book a sales meeting for higher ticket products.
Any more questions, or is this going to be our shortest revenue search since number 1?
Have we gone past the 15-minute mark yet?
Yeah.
Yes.
Another question.
Behind you, Harry.
You can throw it to him, Harry. He'll catch it.
Smooth.
Yeah, so how do you balance quality and quantity in your subnet? So I can imagine you want like a lot of leads, but they should be like qualified, but to some extent. How do you do it?
Yeah. So the way we do that is actually limiting the amount that the miners can send per day and skewing rewards to the quality of the lead. So if you provide us 10 quality leads, it's more valuable than 100, mediocre, like they may pass our validation, but 100 mediocre leads. So, and the way we look at quality is the type of contact, the reputation of the company, a multitude of factors, but those are the 2 primary vectors for us to assess a lead's quality.
So if a random business wanted leads, let's say they're not familiar with BitTensor at all, they go to your website, how do they know if their sector is something that you provide for? Do you have like a wait list for sector-specific waiting lists or what? Or is there a roadmap of which industries you're going to source leads for?
Yeah. By the time we do our early access, we intend to at least have some leads from most markets. Obviously, we may not have some, and we're pretty much open to how we're going to actually advertise which leads we have. When we open the funnel open the floodgate per se, we'll be getting around 100,000 to 1 million leads a day. So most markets will be able to service, but we obviously don't want someone buying credits and then not being able to use them. So we'll be mitigating that on the site.
Nice. One more question. One last question. Yes, go. Okay. Oh.
The companies providing you with the leads, how are they actually generating those leads? And also, why don't you do that in-house?
Yep. So the way they're getting the leads is it can be through any real way. We don't force them in a direct way. It could be through a dynamic agent. It could be through a database they already own. It could be through getting a resale agreement from a provider and getting us some leads there, enriching them to make them higher quality, and then selling them over to us. In terms of why we aren't doing it in-house, just so we can focus on incentivizing these different commodities and then having them ultimately create the miners, because as we see with BitTensor, the miners will be very intelligent and they will always exceed expectations if you're able to validate them successfully and incentivize them successfully as well. No problem.
Cool. And I'm going to draw a line under our first live revenue search. Live revenue search. I think it's been a surprising success, which I'm genuinely shocked, but thank you very much for coming on it. Siam, thank you for handling the camera with such dexterity, and thank you, live audience, for all of your intelligent and articulate questions. Let's shut this off, and we'll see you on another revenue search soon.